Hi, I'm Bill Walta, and this is my wife Sue. And I've been asked to kind of relate an experience that I had in 2013. I actually started the week before Memorial Day. Had my first softball of the, game of the season, and which was a Friday night. And by Sunday, I was just aching all over, and I thought, "Well, I know I'm not that in bad a shape." And it just kept getting achy all week long. And then about the middle of the week, Sue mentioned that she had had some intestinal distress, and she was wondering if I had the same thing. I said, as a matter of fact, I have. But then by the weekend, by Friday, I was really feeling bad. And by Friday afternoon, I was just laid out on the living room floor, and she came in and took my temperature, and I had over 100. And with the body aches, we thought that I was coming down with the flu. And she said, we're supposed to go to Chicago for a family graduation party. And she says, I don't think we should go. And I said, well, no, we committed. I think we're going. And she said, well, you just stay away from everybody when we get there. I said, well, okay, I'll be good. I kind of got through the party. But when we returned to the motel that evening, I really took a downhill trek. And she took my temperature, and it was 103 degrees. And I had headaches like I had never, ever experienced before. And she says, I think we need to go to the hospital. And I said, no. I said, give me a couple of pills, and I'll lay down, and I'll be fine. Well, I woke up about 1:30 in the morning, and the temperature had climbed to 103 plus. The headaches were excruciating, and she said, we really need to go to the hospital. And we found out where the hospital was, went to the hospital, and as soon as I got there, they could see I was in trouble big time, and took me in right away and started working on me. And it wasn't long before I heard him say something about a spinal tap. I thought, oh, this doesn't sound good. And but to make a long story short, I wound up, what was supposed to be a 2-day trip to Chicago, wound up being 5 weeks. The diagnosis was something called Listeria meningitis. And what I found out afterwards, and it's probably good I didn't know this at the time, but after the first week, the infectious disease doctor came in and said things that I couldn't believe. He was saying things like, it looks like you're going to make it. You're going to survive. We weren't sure, but we're happy to report that you've turned a corner on this thing. And I'm thinking to myself, what is she talking about? Surviving. And it was, it was at that point that I found out that this particular form of meningitis has a 70% fatality rate. And of the 30% that survive, a lot of them have brain damage or brain abscesses. And so after that incident, I talked to Sue, and I said, were you aware of how bad I was? I said, I had no idea. And she said that she knew, the kids knew, my family and friends knew. She says, actually, the only one that didn't know was you.
Well, as soon as we got to the emergency room, it was like God gave me a supernatural peace. I was not anxious anymore. And now that we were at the hospital, and I, of course, had been praying the whole time that we were in the motel room, just asking for God's mercy and guidance on what we should do. And he only agreed to go to the hospital. Finally, he says, I'll do it for you. But he was being stubborn and didn't want to go. But when we got there, I just sensed the peace of God, and I just knew he was going to be okay. And all I had to do was trust him, and he was going to go with me through this ordeal. Because as soon as they said that he was going to have a spinal tap, I figured it was meningitis. I could see that God was being faithful to us and giving me that peace, because everybody else around me was very anxious, and I was the calmest one of all. And I just felt his presence, like his arms were holding me up. And at the beginning, I didn't get much sleep at all, or didn't even feel like eating, and I stayed by his side the whole time in the hospital, never left the room. And somehow I just stayed strong. I wasn't emotional or anything. And usually when you get tired, you get, at least I do, I get more emotional. But the Lord gave me the strength when I needed it, and His grace was sufficient for my need, and He was faithful. And I know when I got home after the 5 weeks we were gone, the first night we were home, I broke down and I told Bill, I says, I almost lost you. You know, and I kept saying that, and I was just sobbing and sobbing, and it was like all of a sudden, okay, I don't have to be strong anymore because now he's getting better, and I had him home. But it wasn't that I sensed that he was going to be okay, but it wasn't like he had to be for God to be good. God is good even if he hadn't made it, and I knew that he was going to work things out for good, even if it wasn't what I wanted. And that was a comfort for me to know that God is always in control and that he walks with us, and we just have to trust him.